to God, I make $5 on this. Let me make
Usually
sure that
there's one guy that's like a super donor.
let's make sure that it's actually live on YouTube. I'm so like I haven't done one of these in a year. I'm so bad at these. It does say it's live, which is cool. Oh, all right. Let's see. It looks like no, it's live. Okay. Thank you everybody for stopping by. Why do I sound like it's a NPR episode? I am Pat. I'm the voice behind probably 90% of what you hear on this here channel. And then that is Dave. That's Coach Dave because he's a hockey coach. Wasn't my hockey coach. That's why I suck. But he is a hockey coach no less. And Dave, you have a podcast that you
I do. It is the Scene Invaders podcast that I do with a couple friendly folk that we BS and talk about movies just like everybody else.
Yes, whoever Callie is, you are in fact first. You're probably the first and the only person in this right now because no one is on time. This is actually the first time I'm on time.
Oh, yeah.
Like this should really be a monumental moment on my channel is the fact that I showed up on time. The last time I did one of these, I was all prepared. Like it was a year ago. I was all prepared to do it. And then the camera, like something got stuck in the USB and I was doing surgery basically to get it out. And it didn't. It was like that should have been my moment, Dave, where I was like, I probably should just pack this in right now and just take the loss. Didn't do it. Ended up continuing the live stream of the top 5 and best and worst movies of 2023. Now we're back. We're back for 2024 because it was a banner year for movies.
Absolutely.
But I don't really know if it was a banner year for movies.
I mean, not the big blockbusters, but I mean, there's just a million little things that, nobody's seen everything. And that's kind of the good thing about this year.
Yeah, well, it's funny enough on my TikTok algorithm, there are movie people.
Right.
And these people will be like, I saw 475 movies this year. And I'm like, what the fuck was I doing?
Right.
I must have been doing nothing this year if these people are getting after it at that extent. But yeah, I saw 90 this year. Look, I do have a life. I've got 2 kids and I play hockey at Dave's rink sometimes, not well. And then I have to watch sports and stuff because I'm a nerd. Nerds watch sports. So like I was after it in that sense. But I saw 90 this year. You can see the list in the description of the video. And to give people an example of like how I work this, I end up putting any movie on my list that I've never seen before. So that's always how I've worked it. I don't care what year it comes out because a lot of these movies that come out, it's like, when did it actually come out? Did it come out at some festival 6 months ago and then it drops in theaters? But I saw it in 2025, but it was really 2021. Like I just scrap that. So like if I've never seen a movie, I don't care if it came out in 1970, it goes on the list. That's just always how I've worked it. So you'll see some movies on that list where you're like, whoa, this came out in 2022. Tough shit. Like that's just it's my channel. So that's the way I work it. And we are here to do the top 5 best and worst. I had a lot of written down for both, and then I kind of just like narrow it down as I've always done. And by the way, as it says there, feel free to ask questions and stuff if you want. What I realized though, Dave, was I don't think this was a good year for movies.
It wasn't a good year for big movies. I mean, like I said, I've been surprised how much I've enjoyed a bunch of the little ones. But again, I think your taste and my taste differ a little bit at times. There's a lot of stuff we cross over and agree on, but also a lot of stuff we disagree on as well.
Yeah, there was I'll just spoil it for all 5 people that are watching this. There was a movie recently that I was watching called Anora, which is it's going to be definitely a movie that people are going to see a lot of in terms of award season if you haven't already. And I texted you and I said something effective like, what the F was that ending?
Right.
Because the ending was I just felt, I was like, okay, That's fine. So yeah, I texted you, what the fuck is this? And you give me this NYU film school breakdown about, well, in this moment, this is how she's feeling. And it dawned on me that classic scene from White Man Can't Jump, that you listen to Jimmy, I hear Jimmy. Like, I just watch the movie and then I go like, what the fuck is that? And your brain works in a completely different way, where I feel like you are more apt to see movies the way that the filmmaker and the writer want you to see it. I'm just not that intelligent. Like, I can't do that. You're able to, though.
Well, I don't think it's a matter of intelligence.
It's a matter of intelligence, Dave. Let me take the L.
But it's kind of like, that's the great thing about cinema is, like, a lot of these things are up for interpretation. That's why I've always kind of respected, I guess we called them Wachowski Starship. I mean, they're originally the Wachowski brothers. Now they're Wachowskis Incorporated or whatever it is. But they've never really defined their work or had to explain their work. So a lot of like the directors that just like, no, I'm not talking about it. Like, I already put it out there. Now it's yours. And, I think that was a lot of the stuff I kind of saw this year, which is, hey, it's up for interpretation. Nah, we don't really need to keep discussing it.
Yeah, I mean, most of the movies that I saw this year, I feel like I got a pretty good understanding. Anora, I mean, I went into with a meh attitude.
Right.
Felt like I got kind of a meh movie, if I'm being honest with you. But I felt the same way about Florida Project. Critics love that. They raved about it. I was like, okay, whatever. So should I do best or should I do worst first?
I think we probably have to go with worst first. Well, I mean, I don't know. Where does your crowd lean towards?
Oh God, I mean, it's the internet, so negativity always wins out. I mean,
right.
one of the things I put up was like, feel free to come and tell me I suck, and then Callie had to show up and tell me like I'm great, and it's now I have imposter syndrome. But yeah, I actually always enjoy doing the worst ones more than I like doing the best ones, because the best ones, I feel like for the most part, everybody's list for best is going to be no surprises, and for worst in a way. But for me, I get so much pent up rage from sitting and watching a bad movie that this is like therapeutic for me. I'm allowed to just let it out and go nuts. And it helps. It helps with the therapy process to get me to go to more bad movies that I don't look forward to.
I think you and I are going to agree on the bad movies more than we are going to agree on the good movies.
Yeah, and look, and one of the reasons why I asked you to do this is because you've pretty much seen everything. Like, you're one of these guys that sees 197 movies a year, and
only 79 this year, but I didn't. That's
what a loser! But that's 79.
79 new movies. So
okay, so you're the guy who does the new movies.
Yes, I do the new movies. Like the 4 times I rewatched, Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse, I don't add that to the list.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna start criticizing some people's lists now.
No, listen, hey man, if you have Patrick Swayze's Roadhouse on your list, you can put it on there 10 times, man, and I'll give you a high five.
I'll tell you right now, as I try to social this out, I did not have Roadhouse the remake on either list. It was just there, and I think, and that's one of the things about these lists and stuff. I think a lot of times your anticipation for the movie matters, and critics don't admit that. Like, if you go in to a movie and you go, this is going to suck, and the movie ends up sucking, you go like, all right, whatever. Right. Like, but if you go in expecting a good movie and you get dog shit, then it matters more to you. Like, you have more stake in the game for it. You're looking forward to this, you circle it on your calendar, and then it doesn't pan out. That's why for most movies, I try to avoid trailers at all costs and synopsises at all costs, so I can go in with a blank slate. Doesn't always work, but I try at least, because I don't want to have a pecking order, if you will. But sometimes, like if it's a sequel, you're going to end up getting pumped for the movie, or you're not going to get pumped. So
I'm terrified about the Brutalist right now. I'm terrified to watch it because of the hype, and then it's 3 hours plus, and there's intermission. Like, there's all these things that aren't going good for me to go into this movie.
So funny story about the Brutalist, real quick. And you haven't seen it? You just said,
I haven't.
right?
It comes out for me next Friday or this
Okay, what do you mean
Friday.
for you?
Well, I don't
Wasn't it
have
at King
the
of Prussia?
access that you do.
Oh, but wasn't it in King of Prussia? Wasn't it the IMAX?
No, it comes out this Friday
I thought.
at
Okay,
KOP.
my mistake.
I misread an app last week when I was going to go and see it, and unfortunately, I had a cafe americano and a shot before I even realized that I had the wrong week for the movie. So I spent the
Oh, I've
night
done that before.
vibrating. Yeah,
It doesn't happen often. It probably happens once a year where I will show up at the wrong theater.
Yep.
For the movie screening. So my Brutalist story, real quick, since we only have 3 people watching. Shout out to the loyal subscribers out there. Hello, Vince. Thank you for joining us. I was just texting Vince actually. So my Brutalist story. So I end up, as you said, the privilege, if you will. I see most of these movies for free based on like I'm technically press. Okay. So I end up getting the screening invite for the Brutalist, same story that I described. I knew nothing about this movie other than it's called The Brutalist. And at worst, I thought, Dave, I could go in and I could just make fun of the title if this movie sucks. Like it's built in right there. So I sign up for the screening, and it's 12 o'clock, King of Prussia. For those not in Philadelphia, that means nothing to you. And I take off at 11 o'clock, and I got like big plans, Dave. I'm going to stop by Duck Donuts. I'm going to buy some donuts. I'm going to sneak those in the theater. Like we're good to go. I'm running late though. And I'm running late to the point where like I'm starting to get worried that I will not make the actual.
Pat, running late.
I know, surprising. You've dealt with that with stressed out Pat before. So I'm running late to the movie, and I emailed about the movie Queer. I emailed RSVP to that screening, and the woman emails me back and she says, "Hey, you're good to go for that. Are you coming to the Brutalist? Your attendance dictates if we have a screening or not." And I'm like, "Well, shit. Like, yeah, I'm on my way. Like, can you let me know if this thing is canceled or not? Because I'm on my way." I don't hear back. I'm refreshing. I roll into the theater at 9:59. I am strapped with a box of donuts. I'm not bringing one. I'm bringing 12. Okay. Am I going to eat 12? No, but it's just good to have that amount. So I am strapped with donuts. It's under my hoodie. I'm sneaking by. I go to the ticket person, and they're like, "Oh yeah, the person's around the corner for you." The marketing person. I'm like, sweet. I go around the corner. She goes, "What the fuck are you doing here?" I go, we were emailing 25 minutes ago. What do you mean I'm doing? I'm here for the Brutalist. Let's go. Adrian Brody. And she goes, "It started at 11. I was an hour late for this thing.
You hit the intermission. You hop in.
So she's like, "You can go in if you want." I'm like, I'm not.
No.
I mean, I guess if I did, I would do a 30-second review, but I'm not going to go in. But I ended up chatting with her for a while because we're really friendly with each other. And I saw the critics come out at intermission, and some of them flat out said, like, "I am bored." I don't know if it turned, but it does appear to be one of those movies that you either absolutely love it or you are bored to fucking tears. And so part of me is actually happy I didn't see it because I feel like I would have been part of the group that was bored to tears. But I'm open to seeing it though, which is the point.
I believe the second half is Adrian Brody in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Philadelphia. It was filmed in Budapest though.
Yeah.
Which means that guys like me and you will be sitting there in the theater going like, that ain't 76. The traffic is too good. All right. There's no backup here. That's bullshit.
Wait a minute. Boathouse Road does not look like that.
Not at all. I don't care what year it is. It never looked like that. All right. Let's get into the worst movies. And I'm going to go through some of the ones that I wrote down and made honorable mention, and we'll just talk about them really quick. Okay. The first one I wrote down, the Garfield movie. Did you see it?
No, and I think it's I'm a little sick of Chris Pratt, even though I did enjoy the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, that was good, and I think he's actually found a niche for himself doing these kids movies. I think for whatever reason, people are just sick of him. And like I feel like Chris Pratt at this point could go 3 years without making a movie, and he'd come back, and people would go, "I'm sick of Chris Pratt."
Yeah,
it was just bad. It was bad. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to be upper crusty movie critic guy and rip this movie to shreds because it was not made for a 35-year-old guy. Surprisingly enough. Yeah, it wasn't. It was actually made for children. And my story with this one was I take my son to it because I'm not a creep. I'm not P Diddy. So I take my son to the movie, and I'm walking out. We're like the first people walking out, and in front of us is the guy that's taking the reactions from the press.
Okay.
He's in front of us. He opens the door. My kid's in front of me. He turns around and he goes, "Pat, what did you think?" And I just shook my head and was like, I mouthed like, "Holy fucking shit, that was bad." And I always do this. I go, Jack, who's my son. I go, "Jack, what did you think?" And he goes, "That was incredible."
Oh.
And I go, "That's all that matters." Like,
Yeah.
this movie wasn't for me. It's made for him.
Did Jack like the Bill Murray versions?
He hasn't seen those.
Okay.
He hasn't seen them. I'm not a huge Garfield guy. I literally just went because it was like, all right, free movie. I'll get him out of the house.
Yeah, why
but he
not?
loved it. But for adults, it's going to be painful for you. This one, though, I know you saw, and this kind of goes back to our expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Furiosa, Mad Max Saga made my list of honorable mention worst of the year.
So why? Why is that?
I thought it had zero plot. I thought the plot was very, very mediocre. I kind of sat there and was like, is this it? Like, this is what we waited however many years for? Like, this backstory? I was so underwhelmed with it that it was one of those movies where you get excited because you have been waiting that long, and then when you get the movie, you go, oh, maybe I should have waited longer. And again, it goes back to my expectation for it, because I was looking forward to this, and I am a big fan of Anya Taylor-Joy, but I thought it was so mediocre. And to walk out of the theater and go, like, that's really their best effort with what they could have done with this franchise. That's what we get. I felt like they basically went with not a great script, but they tried to bank on what they did the first time around, which was like, well, we'll do the action, we'll do that live. It won't be CGI, and we'll get more, we'll get the same praise. And they didn't get the same praise.
Yeah, it was a lot of, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Like, okay, we're going to retread a bunch of the stuff from the first one, but it's just not going to live up to it. Yeah, it's not Fury Road. But I just kind of left it in the middle of, I did like Anya Taylor-Joy. I did like Chris Hemsworth. Seeing him outside of a superhero movie is always fun for me. I think he does good work. The problem is he's just kind of pigeonholed in that superhero stuff. Yeah,
no, and he's good. You're right. And it's like, at this point we look at him and we go, all right, you're Fat Thor. And in a way, because of that, I feel bad for him. And I thought he was the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
But I thought the movie as a whole just wasn't very good. The next one, I didn't have any expectations for this, but this just felt like a forced sequel of like, oh shit, we need something for the summer. What's a cheap thrill that can get people into the theater? The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
I have actually a good story about this. So I saw this in 4DX, which is
always fun.
Which is always fun, but for some reason it was just really violent and throwing me around. But like a couple tiers over was like 3 70-year-old ladies. Just like, and you could tell 2 didn't want to be there, and the one lady was like, "Wee, this is great."
Oh no.
And they're just bouncing all around the place. But like for me, it was so violently shaking and the movie was so just meh that I'm like, I'm out. Like I don't want to be bruised from this thing, and I don't want to see these old ladies kick the bucket halfway through.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of those times when you go to the 4DX movies, that you get a bunch of people that don't know what to expect, and then they end up coming out with bruised ribs. It's not for the faint at heart, that's for sure. I don't have the movie on here, but I did a whole TikTok and an Instagram thing about it. I went to go see Red One in 4DX, a movie that critics loved. Joking around on that, critics fucking hated it, and I didn't hate it. But in front of me, you had an Instagram influencer who was filming the entire time, and I'm talking like she was filming the movie in 5 to 10 second chunks. I usually don't get mad and I usually don't say anything, but in this instance, and I recognize it was 4DX, so you're going to, if you want to capture like a video or two, I get it, because this is a unique experience. If you've never done 4DX, it's basically a roller coaster mixed with a movie. but she's like flipping the front camera light on and everything. And I had to wait outside to get a picture of her and put her on blast that maybe 300 people have seen at this point. Found out later on she was like a travel influencer with like 40,000 followers or whatever. But like she literally filmed the
theater.
It was I was blown away by it. But it is a fun experience though. But yeah, the movie Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, to get back to that, I mean, the storyline was the most mediocre storyline in the world, and I feel like they tried to set it up for a sequel, and that I felt like was the best part, was the very, 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 very end of the movie. But up until that point, it was Mass City. Like, it was very, very bad, and for a franchise, I feel like that's been really strong the last couple of them. I mean, the three of them that we had before that were really, really good. This one sucked, and it felt to me like it was just a cash grab, and they got my cash, so I guess it worked. Did you see the movie? And this is an example. This is a movie that came out in, I think, 2023. Did you see the movie I.S.S?
I.S.S. No, is that like the space? There's a space, like guy stuck in space, or
yeah. So it's
monster in space.
It's an awesome idea, and basically it's the International Space Station.
Okay.
You have Americans and Russians. They're up there. They're doing the Lord's work. I don't know. I'm not an astronaut. All right. I didn't go to space camp, but they're doing stuff up there, and they look down on Earth, and nuclear war has broken out. And now you've got these friends who now are fighting to take over the International Space Station. And I remember hearing about this movie and be like, that is an incredible idea. The premise is cool. And then you saw the movie and you realize why it came out in January. Because it fucking sucked. Because they took a cool idea and they put nothing behind it. And then halfway through you go like, wait, why are they flooding? Like, what are they going back to? I don't know what the whole planet's orange at this point from the nuclear bomb. Like, what are we fighting about, folks? It was brutal. It was a movie that I watched on a plane. It was so bad, I wish the plane went down. It was rough. All right, next one up. And this is one actually that is on a lot of people's lists. And we talked about this when we started the stream of me and you have some movies that we'll disagree with and whatnot. And this is a movie that critics loved, and I'm very passionate about my hate for it. But and this was a movie that probably would have been number 6 on my list of if the top 5, if I made it the top 6, this would have been 6. Okay. A Quiet Place Day One.
Yeah, I haven't been a fan of the whole franchise.
Really?
So, I mean, like, I like the concept of the first one. I think it's a good idea, but it's like we throw so many Chekhov's guns in so that we can have these moments later. Like, we have the deaf child, and then the kid who wants to play with all the toys. Like, we kind of set up all these things to happen. So, like, it doesn't really catch you that much by surprise, where you're like, oh, that happened. And like, oh yeah, that should have happened.
Yeah, I love the first one, and I love the second one. I thought the second one was better than the first one because they just expand that world, and it's a movie that allows you to do that, to expand the world. Like The Purge is one of those too, where you take an intimate story and you just expand on it. This was horrible, and I'd love for anyone to explain to me why it was good. I mean, the premise is basically, okay, day one, we get that. Terminally ill patient walks around New York City trying to find the last good piece of pizza. Like, this was Zombieland. They combined Zombieland with like monsters, and that's what you got. And what really irked the shit out of me in this whole movie was the fact that, if you've ever been to New York City, she's passing by about 55 billion pizza places on the way to this one place in Brooklyn.
Right.
And then when she gets there, they don't have pizza because there was an attack that took place. And I walked out of this piece of shit going like, oh my God, they have botched this franchise incredibly. I mean, like, this is really bad. And people were raving about it. And I'm like, what was good about this? I need someone to break it down to me like I'm 5 of what the fuck was good about A Quiet Place Day One. It was a horrible premise. She's basically walking around trying to get pizza, and she's worried about her cat. I'm sorry, okay? And I have a cat. You know this. Cat Burl, okay? Great cat. Annoys the shit out of me. But if these monsters are hitting, right, and they're going after noise, I'm going, Cat Burl, you're on your own.
Cat Burl, yep, you're traded. You're on
your own. because I know Cat Burrell. I've lived with Cat Burrell for about
Mhm.
7 years now. Cat Burrell gets hungry. She doesn't shut up. She does not stop. Cats have little bells on them a lot of times, right? They're not quiet. And yet this person's basically committing suicide with Joseph Quinn the entire movie. And for whatever fucking reason, he's following her.
Right.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm very passionate about that movie. Fuck that movie. Another movie that got rave reviews and I can't figure out why, Twisters.
To me, that was pure popcorn. I'm a Glenn Powell. I liked him. I liked him ever since the Richard Linklater movie, Everybody Wants Some.
Yeah, I like that movie. That was a good movie.
You know, like I think he's charismatic. The girl is it Daisy?
Daisy Edgar Jones.
Yeah, from Normal People. Like I liked her in it. Like I think the idea of it was better than the execution of it, and I think everybody was just like, okay, like we're just wanted to see a popcorn movie with some attractive people and some stuff spinning around.
Yeah,
very low bar
so much
on that one.
I hated it. I mean, I went into it, and I think the coup de grace for me was the scene where they're in a movie theater trying to avoid a tornado.
Right.
They're all grabbing pieces of the furniture to not get sucked up, and I remember vividly thinking, man, I wish a tornado hit this theater right now and just took me away. Because I get it. Like, it is popcorn and it's all that, and, you know, and like, this is one of those, like, don't take it too seriously. You had the bad boy of weather in this movie. Glenn Powell quite literally played the bad boy of weather, who he shows up like a douchebag. Like, they show up at a random Oklahoma gas station to groupies. There's nothing around.
Listen,
and there's
Glenn Powell can be a trash man, and there's going to be groupies, man.
No, and look, and I get that. Okay, like if Mr. Beast shows up in random Podunk, Oklahoma, there's going to be groupies. This guy wasn't Mr. Beast. He literally just like chased tornadoes. You know, I mean, like, I have a few subscribers on here. If I show up at a random Podunk place in Oklahoma, nothing.
Well, yeah.
And if you're trying to tell me I'm not Glenn Powell, like, okay, we can have that conversation. But I was mad at Daisy Edgar Jones, whatever her name is. I was mad at her for doing this movie. Just flat out mad. You're better than this.
Yeah, well, there's the Cameron Diaz thing where it's like, you know, you do the studio film, you do the art house film, you do the studio film, you cash out, you do the art, you know, you do Charlie's Angels, you do Being John Malkovich.
I guess, man, it's just, yeah, Twisters. Didn't get it. This is one that I went to, was very hopeful, and I love what it's based off of, but Borderlands was really bad.
Borderlands was awful. I fell asleep and walked out.
You walked out?
I walked out. Like I tried really hard,
wow,
you know, to just stick through it, and I walked out of that one. That was just, you know, and I love Cate Blanchett. I mean, I like the idea of Jamie Lee Curtis. What's his name? The boy from our boy from Philly had no business
Kevin Hart.
being in. Kevin Hart had no business being in that movie.
Kevin Hart's dealing with a little oversaturation, like a little much. Him and the Kelseys, I think we could use a break from.
Yeah, I agree, because you know, Kevin Hart is Kevin Hart in everything he is. Kind of like The Rock is The Rock in everything he is. Like, if you show me a little range, I'll give you a little respect.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I did say about a movie coming up was that it could have been drastically improved with The Rock, but I will get to that because it is on my list of worst. But yeah, Borderlands, like, I love the video game, and I was looking forward to it when they released the news, and this is one that they were pretty clearly banking on just video game nerds like myself showing up.
The marketing was all, this is the next Guardians of the Galaxy. We're going to throw a bunch of colors, and we're going to put a trendy 70s song with it, and everybody's going to be all in. And everybody was not.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those movies where you're watching it going, how the hell did these people sign up for it? Like, what was the selling point? Because the script wasn't there. I mean, I feel like they gave it their all, but like, there's only so much you can do with that limited script. And I don't, Kate, as you said, like, this is heavy hitters, and Jamie Lee Curtis, Cate Blanchett, Kevin Hart.
I thought the young girl was good. The girl from Barbie. I thought she was good in it.
You know, I didn't see Barbie.
Okay.
You know this. We've been through that. We were here a year ago discussing this very topic. We're not doing it again. And it's nothing to do with the fact of like I'm macho guy. I can't watch Barbie. Like, trust me, there's a movie on this list that we will discuss that proves I am not a macho guy. The next one, Kraven the Hunter.
Okay, so
I think both our faces just said it.
The marketing of this, you have Russell Crowe in it, but you don't say Russell Crowe is in it. Like, what's the point? And by the way, why are you paying Russell Crowe to be a Russian when you could get like 10 other people with a real Russian accent to be way more intimidating than Russell Crowe?
Because you can get Russell Crowe with a Russian accent. It's badass.
And then the whole concept of we mix the blood of a lion with the magic water from Calypso. This movie was like it was written by AI. Because like every single thing that it was just like, hey, Calypso, what do you think about that? And you, Calypso, like you had to announce everything as it was happening. It was awful.
Yeah, it was really, really bad. Can't get over how bad it was. And I think one of the biggest problems that I had with this movie was that the CEO of Sony comes out and says, I don't understand why this movie was a bomb. Sir, did you see it? Because like you're like there's two problems there. You either actually don't understand why it was a bomb, which in that case you should be fired, or you're just lying because you clearly didn't see it, because this movie had decent action, but not enough action in a year where Deadpool and Wolverine come out. Like that movie comes out and you kind of try to do this R-rated action thing for split seconds, but you miss the mark. And I'm sorry, I got to find out this kid's name. But he played the brother of Kraven the Hunter. And I've sat in your office and gone off.
I'm with you. Like this guy is like, if you look back in like your pictures of when you were 20, there's like one guy in the background that's like your stoner. He's just there. He's just the stoner guy. You don't know really who he is. He's a friend of a friend. He was in 3 movies this year, and he was awful in all 3. He was in Thelma, Gladiator 2, and Kraven. And this guy had no business being in any of them.
The guy we're talking about is named Fred Hitchinger. He was in a few movies that I saw. Kraven the Hunter, he played Kraven's brother. In Gladiator, he played the shorter Caesar, I guess.
The syphilitic.
For me,
that word.
He gives off hard, simple Jack vibes, if you've seen Tropic Thunder.
Yes.
And I do not understand Hollywood's current obsession over him. His head is not even close to being proportionally to his body at all. Right. He can't act. I don't get it. And that's at the point where when he shows up in a movie, I go, this fucking guy again. And I can't do it anymore, man. Like, he's so bad. But yeah, he was this movie just had nothing.
No.
And it was one of the last movies that I saw of the year, and it was atrociously bad. So and then the next one I know you actually liked. I'm in the minority with this one. Wicked made my list.
So I know you, Pat, you're not a traditional Broadway guy, but you do enjoy a good song and dance.
Oh yeah, no, I mean we've talked about it, man. Like I've seen The Greatest Showman tons of times.
Yep, and I'm curious how you're going to, what you're going to say about the Robbie Williams thing, because it's the same guy doing that.
Yeah, Michael Gracie. Didn't see the Robbie Williams one. There's a screening for it coming up, but didn't see it. All right, so here's my problem with this movie. 2 hours and 40 minutes based on the play. Get all that. And when I go into a musical, all I want is good music. That is it. Like, I need bangers. I need bangers after bangers after bangers. That's what I loved about Greatest Showman. I go in there, Hugh Jackman starts me out with that stomp in the woe, and I'm like, I'm hooked on this. Like, this is crack cocaine for my eardrums right now. I'm loving it. And it was just nothing but just boom, boom, boom. Every like 5 minutes, we got Hugh Jackman just throwing banger out there. For me, Wicked had 2 bangers and nothing else behind it. I couldn't get over the fact that I'm staring at Ariana Grande and her redheaded boyfriend the entire time. Like I couldn't. I should be able to get over it. I can't, because the whole time I'm going like, you dated him and he left his wife for you.
Yeah.
I couldn't get over that part of it. Like Cynthia, oh God, what's her name? Cynthia.
It begins with an E. It's like Envo or
Yeah,
Cynthia.
she was great in it.
She was.
She was great in it. I thought Ariana Grande was great in it too. Like she was fine. Like the acting was not the problem with this movie. For me, it was I walked out of it and I said 3 hours of that. Like, are we serious right now? Like 3 hours. I waited 3 hours for that, and then that's just part one.
Yeah, the tough thing about Wicked is after part one, it just kind of goes batshit insane, and the songs are not good in the second act. Even in the first act, I will agree with you that they're not banger after bang. There are banger moments in songs, like The Wizard and I. Like basically, like it's a mid song and has a great ending of it. Like I did really enjoy Dancing Through Life. I found that guy really incredibly charming, especially if you do see the play. They have a history of casting effeminate gentlemen in that role, so it doesn't really.
Jonathan Bailey from
Yeah,
Bridgerton,
so
let's have some respect.
Jonathan Bailey, like he pulled it off. Like the end, Defying Gravity, everybody's going to be up for. Popular, okay, and then The Loathing. But other than that, like I can agree with you on that. I
mean, it's a hot button. Like I was getting texts from my buddies about it, who I love, but I was getting texts from my buddies literally an hour ago about it, like saying, "Oh no, you're wrong about the bangers." But that's just my thing. Like if I'm going to go to a musical, I don't really care about the Wizard of Oz part. I just want to get the music. I didn't really get it. Two more in the honorable mention: Carry On, the Taron Egerton Netflix movie, which is nothing more than Die Hard TSA version.
Yeah, it's made for TV crap.
It was so. Why did Jason Bateman sign up for that? Because he's good in it. Like Jason Bateman plays a very good, serious bad guy. Like I was intimidated watching it, and I like Taron Egerton too. But this was like jump the shark moments in this whole movie that I couldn't get over.
I think it's one of those like, hey, listen, we can pay you X and we'll get you out in like 3 weeks. Like, because it just looked like it was like in, out, done.
It was a quick trip to Vancouver's airport.
Yep.
We're going to film for about 2 days.
Check out the greenery.
Maybe meet like a hot girl and then, hook up with her for 2 weeks and then we're back home.
Yeah.
I got you. Horrible. And then the movie that probably would be like 6 or 7 on this list, and I know we've had a lot of discussions about this one. I saw the TV Glow. I'm going to tell you right now, it was number 5 on my list, and then there was a very popular movie that I forgot that I had to include in my top 5. It bumped out. I saw the TV Glow. We're split on this one, so you defend your movie, and then I'll rip it to shreds.
I think it is a well-executed version of the clock is ticking, time is ticking, and like get into life, and we can't all just like watch life go by. And I thought it was very well done in that way. Everything from the set design to the colors to the acting and all that. But I also understand this is an art house movie. I'm not recommending this for most people, but I am saying like I enjoyed it, and it's stuck like a splinter in my brain, just kind of going through it and going over it and what the director was trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, I've had movies like that before. Killing of a Sacred Deer. I remember watching that going, I hate it. I think I like this.
Yep.
No, I didn't like it. And then after thinking about it for 4 days straight, I was like, well, I guess I liked it. This was a movie I watched on a plane, and I took my headphones off and audibly said, holy fuck. And not in a good way. It was more of an exasperated.
It's a big swing. I can listen.
Yeah.
I support you on not enjoying it. I mean, I'm fine with that. It's not a movie I'm going to be like, everybody should love this amazing art piece. Like, I get it.
It was a movie that I didn't know anything about going in, other than the fact you warned me about that. Like you said, hey, this movie isn't for everybody. Either you're going to love it or you're going to hate it. It's A24, and I think a lot of people that know me personally know that I have big feelings on A24. It's not that I don't like A24 movies. It's just cinema bros jerk off to A24. and that bugs me. Like, they act like A24 can't make a bad movie. They can. It was this one. And I was watching it going, I'm waiting. And finally I got to the point where I go, I can't wait anymore. This movie's not good. And then the ending came around. I went, what acid trip am I supposed to be on to understand this? But this goes back to I'm like listening to Jimmy and you're hearing Jimmy.
Right.
You know, like you got what the director's going for, and I'm sitting there going, but that was dog shit. Like, this is horrible. And it was just, yeah. So if you're like a casual movie going person that didn't take a film class in college, you're probably going to hate it. I'm that person. All right. Finally, we get into the top 5. By the way, if you have any questions, comments, feel free to throw them out there. But these are the top 5 worst movies of 2025. We'll start out with number 5 on my list, one that I know you saw. This goes kind of to I was looking forward to this movie. The marketing for this movie was awesome, but the marketing was completely deceiving. The movie is Civil War. Alex Garland crushed it with Ex Machina.
Yes.
And then he kind of came back down to earth in a lot of ways with his follow-ups. This, I felt like, was supposed to be his I'm back moment. And this movie is marketed as an amazing idea of, like, we are going through a civil war in America. The posters are badass. Like, you've got these armies, snipers set up on the torch of the Empire, or then the Statue of Liberty. And you're like, man, I can't wait to see this war movie. You don't get any of that. Like, we got bait and switch with this movie. I'm going to tell you right now, folks, they never go to New York. You don't see the Statue of Liberty. That sniper might still be there. I don't know, because you don't see it. This movie was a war movie where they never answer what caused the Civil War. You don't see that much action. And you end up getting basically a piece about journalists just trying to survive to get the story. And that's not what I was sold by the marketing company. But again, like, that's a good marketing company, because the marketing company realized no one's going to go to this movie. So we got to spin this.
Yeah, and again, I enjoyed it, and I didn't really see any of the marketing on it. And like, a lot of it I heard, and I don't believe this is your take, was like, I think there was a lot of leftists looking like, well, the right caused the Civil War, and I want to see this movie show. And the right goes in and says, oh, the left caused the Civil War. And yeah, I thought it, for what it was with the photojournalism and following them, it was great. I think it's the marketing that screwed everybody up on this. If this was like, I mean, this was basically a really good version of Lee with the wrong type of hype that got people into the seats, and then they just didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw an early screening of it, walked out, and a lot of people were kind of feeling the way that I felt, of like, really, like, that's it. And this is another movie, kind of like I saw the TV Glow, that I felt like could have been saved with a really good ending. Like, they had the chance to save this movie in the last 30 minutes, and you saw a high pressure situation going on when the journalists are getting closer to DC to get the story that they're looking for. And yet I still didn't feel like we got what we were sold by the marketing company. And again, like, I don't watch trailers, so I didn't see a trailer for it. I literally just saw the poster.
Right.
And with the movie named Civil War and the poster, I'm thinking, okay, we're getting at least a backstory on why exactly America is under a civil war. Now, this movie is low. It probably would have been higher on the list had it not been for the Jesse Plemons scene.
Just, man, we were just sweating bullets.
Crushed
there.
it.
Yeah.
Like, he deserves some kind. Like, if he was in the movie longer, he would have been nominated for something, but he's only in the movie for like 10 minutes.
So I call it the Flappy Tricep Award. There was a movie called Hell and High Water. Yeah. That there's this random old lady actress who plays a waitress who just kills it in that movie. And I always look for that one scene of the one random person who's not seen later in the movie to just go and kill it. And he killed it.
Yeah, he crushed it. And I want it on record, though, when he showed up on the screen, I said, you got to be effing kidding me. Not in a good way. Because at this point, I'm sick of seeing Jesse Plemons and Kirsten Dunst in movies together. We get
that was actually somebody backed out at the last minute.
Hear me
apparently.
out.
Okay,
Hear me
I'm
out.
sorry. I need to protect film.
At this point, we all know you're married. Thank you. You guys can survive not being together in a movie for once. So that's what I'm watching when I see Jesse Plemons come on the screen. I'm annoyed by it because I'm just like, oh God, here we go. And then he, the scene happened, and I couldn't really get mad because he was so good in it. But the movie as itself, I felt like we got completely bait and switched with that one. So Civil War is my number 5 on that one. Just felt like it was a complete and utter letdown. All right, number 4, and this is a movie that will be on just about everybody's worst list. The Joker Folie à Deux. I should have known something was up, Dave, when I emailed the marketing company about, hey, do you guys have a screener for this coming up? And they said, yeah, it's Wednesday. Wednesday meaning like the movie comes out Friday. Usually that's kind of an indication that the movie's not great. And even then I said, you know what? It can't be bad. The first one was so good. It's got Joaquin back. It's got Todd Phillips back. You're adding Gaga, who's great. Like this, there's no way they miss. This has got to be an oversight or whatever by the marketing company. Maybe they just feel like, maybe the studio feels like we don't even need the screening because word of mouth, like people will go see, which they did, by the way. It didn't matter how much negative press this movie got. This movie was still, I think, number 1 in the country when it dropped. We all should have known something was up when the movie starts out with a like Looney Tunes-esque sketch with the Joker. That was a good indication. No one knew that it was a musical and not a good one. And this is another one that would have been lower on my list. The only reason it's not lower, or I should say higher on the list, is because at least we got the one courtroom scene with Joaquin and Puddles, or whatever his name was, where like he was great. And at least I got 10 minutes or 15 minutes of like good, solid, like a good scene. But this movie was hot garbage.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was. They needed to either shit or get off the pot. Like either you swing away and go for it all, or you just, okay, we're going to play it safe. And we just foul tipped a bunch of just garbage. And I just didn't care at all.
No, I felt like with this one, and I can't take credit for this because I saw this theory, but basically Todd Phillips did not appreciate how people interpreted the first one, how they made him out to be a sympathetic character, and he said, okay, so you want a sequel to a movie that I wasn't planning on doing a sequel for, because the first one made so much money, which is what movie companies do, like Toy Story 3 was perfect. Do we need Toy Story? I like Toy Story 4, but like, do we need it? No. But when it makes a ton of money, you need a sequel for it, no matter if it makes sense or not. And the theory I got was Todd Phillips said, okay, I'm going to give you the hottest garbage in the world. I'm going to give you a bad script. I'm going to give you a script that makes 0 sense. That would be a sketch on Curb Your Enthusiasm. And you're still going to make this piece of shit movie. And it's still probably going to make money. And that's what he did. Because, and I say that, and it makes sense in the way of Todd Phillips is a guy that did The Hangover. He did Road Trip. Like, he did a bunch of comedies, and he's on record as saying, I don't do comedies anymore because I can't do it. I can't do comedies in today's society. And he's very in tune with that and very in tune with the movie industry where, he doesn't appreciate that kind of forced creativity, if you will. So the theory that Todd Phillips completely tanked this movie on purpose, I actually do think there's credence to it. He knew that it was going to make money, but he purposely went out there to make the worst movie he could, and he did it.
Right.
What I don't personally understand is why Joaquin and why Gaga did it.
Because the Gaga did it to get in something big. Like, she's just been in. She only really gets in small things. Like, yeah, Starting Board became big, but it wasn't like a tent pole to anything. This was one of like, she could be, she could have been, Harley Quinn for years and years and other projects, and then get a spinoff. And so like, I kind of get, because she's trying to get there. Joaquin, they just backed the Brinks truck up.
I mean, for her, it's a good thing. Like, she did this movie because, she'll be able to do like the Comic-Cons and take pictures for $25 with fans for the rest of her life now. Because she doesn't have much else going on. So like, if she's hard up for
there's
cash,
no monsters following her at all.
Yeah, you just hit up some random New Jersey city that's having like a con, and $20 and $25 for an inscription, and you're good to go. The next one is going to surprise people of just how low it is on my list, or how whatever. That it's not number 1 or 2. Okay, but the next one, and it's about those expectations. I didn't have great expectations going in for this one, and boy, did it live up to the low expectations that we got. It is Madame Web. Holy shit, was it bad? And we knew it was going to be bad because it's Sony, and Sony doesn't do good superhero movies no matter who they have. They would fuck up just about anything. And they once again found a character. They gave the worst script possible. They randomly just banked on, people will, like, horny teenagers are going to go see this movie because of Sydney Sweeney, which, I mean, yeah, okay.
She's barely in it and doesn't do anything.
But she was worth watching. But yeah, it was like more of like three hot girls dancing on a diner table to like 2000s Britney Spears, which I'm cool with. Like, yeah, Toxic is a good song.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if I want to watch Coyote Ugly, I'll watch Coyote Ugly.
It's a good point. Kohler has a point. This movie was so bad, and this actually kind of annoyed me. I didn't expect it to be good. No one expected it to be good. I go into a critics only screening, which are kind of rare. So you've got about 14 of us. The critics had decided right away this movie is going to be hot garbage. Now, I'm a little bit different. Like, I will go into some movies going like, holy shit, this is going to suck. I did that for what was the Birds of Prey, the Harley Quinn movie with I went in thinking that was going to be dog shit, and it was great. Like, I loved it. So I will go in with an open mind, but I'm going in also with this movie going, okay, it's Sony, it's Dakota Johnson, like it's not going to be good.
Right. Like, what's your selling point? What is your...
And these critics started laughing at the movie pretty early on. I'm talking like the first 10 minutes. Now, granted, the dialogue is horrible.
And it's
like, it is laugh out loud
and all that. It's just awful.
It's bad, but I stand by if the movie had flashed an A24 logo, the same critics would have loved it. The
movie, Tom Holland shows up.
That might have saved it. If Tommy Holland showed up. I saw a recent interview that he said when he has kids, like, you'll never see him again. I was like, Tom, let's not have kids, bud.
Well, it depends who he's having kids with.
I assume it's Zendaya.
Well, I mean, like, who has more earning power? I mean, listen, he's Spider-Man, but anything other than Spider-Man, he's kind of struggled in.
Actually, no, Zendaya. Yeah, I said Tom initially just because of Spider-Man, but Zendaya, and we'll talk about her in a little bit, man. She had a good year. But anyway, yeah, this movie was just not good in any front. It was really, really bad. But I expected that. And if I had gone in expecting a good movie, this might have been number one on my list. And I'm not going to argue with anybody who puts it number one, but this goes back to my expectations for movies and how much time I wasted. I knew this was going to be bad. It wasn't good, but it was in the realm of it's so bad that at times it is kind of entertaining how bad it is. Like, you've got Dakota Johnson completely mailing in everything about this movie, and that in and of itself was...
And disavowing it afterwards.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Like, they went on a marketing tour, and then they were like, actually, now you say, no, that movie was really... Okay, all right, never mind, I didn't make it. All right, number 2 on the list, and this is where I get really passionate. This is where I get annoyed, because this was a movie that I knew nothing about. Okay, but I go in... I had a friend blow up my phone for 3 months straight. When this movie comes out, can I be your guest? What's the deal with the screening for this movie? Fine. I don't know if I would have went to go see this movie if this person hadn't blown up my phone, but it's like, all right, free movie. I got nothing to do on a Tuesday. Okay. I go watch Daniel Craig try to clap cheeks with Rafe from Outer Banks. And let me just say, I'm an ally, okay, folks? Like, bang whoever you want. I don't care, okay? Clearly, if I'm going to a movie called Queer, I got no problem looking at tails, all right? Because you've pretty much seen one, you've seen them all, like, it's a tail in the front, whatever. So I got no problem with it, okay? And if you have a backstory behind it, fine. This movie was made to win awards, and it was so incredibly bad. It was horrible. And when I tell you that it is 2 hours and 40 minutes, I think it's 2 hours and 20 minutes I'm sorry, actually it's 2:16, because the only reason that this movie is number 2 and not number 1 is because the number 1 movie is 2:20 and this movie was 2:16. My number 1 and 2 were literally based on runtime. It was based on how much more time was wasted in my life watching this dog shit. And Queer was absolute dog shit. When I tell you it is Daniel Craig running around Mexico trying to bang Rafe from Outer Banks. Like that's what it is. And then the second act, it's like, hey, let's go down to South America and do ayahuasca. It's horrible. Like you don't get backstory on any of the characters. I walked out of that thing and I'm like, are we serious with this? Now I should have been under very suspicious when the director's name flashed up before the actual title of the movie, because that is the biggest look at me moment in movies, when the director goes, just want to let you know I'm the one who made this. I made this dog shit. Salute me, praise me for what you are about to witness. This isn't just any movie. No. It's a Luca, whatever his name is, movie.
That or the Medea guy who puts his
Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry.
Like, and he's another one where it's like, I don't know why you're trying to tell everybody you make these movies. They're not good. But yeah, and it's amazingly with this guy, whose name is, I go to IMDb, Luca Guadagnino, whatever that name is, doesn't really matter. He made a movie that made my best list this year. But it's very self-serving when you put your name there. I go into it with an open mind. It's Daniel Craig trying to win awards. It's Ray from Outer Banks, who's really the only one on that show that can act. He's also trying to win awards. The script was horrible. You get no backstory on the characters. It is a painful watch, and it is wrapped up with a long, drawn-out shot of old man Danny, where you just go like, can we just speed this up, please, God? It was, as I said, it was one of the worst movies of the year, and it would have been my number one had it not been for the fact that it is 4 minutes shorter than my number one movie.
Okay.
That's the only reason why. Did you see it?
I did not.
Yeah, don't. Okay, we'll move on.
In all honesty, like, I mean, and I am the guy that chases the indie darlings. It didn't even do anything for me. And like you said, I am an ally as well.
Yeah, I hope to God that this movie doesn't get nominated, because it was made to get nominated. It's not made to entertain. It's definitely not made to entertain.
Look how brave Daniel Craig is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's let's watch James Bond. I mean, I went into it going like, okay, James Bond's gonna go gay. Fine, whatever. Okay? No judgment here. I don't care. And what I came out was going, that was 2 hours and 16 minutes of dog shit, and I found out that Daniel Craig's a top.
Right.
Cool. Number one worst movie of the year, unequivocally. I got an email from the marketing company about this screening for it, and I responded with, hey, is there still space? I would like to come tonight. If not, I will sit in my apartment and stare at a wall. That's also an option for me. And she responds with, yes, there is still space. No problem. I know nothing about this movie. No, nothing. I know the name of it. That's it. I avoid trailers. I avoid synopsis. I'm going in blank slate, Dave. Blank slate Pat. That's what they call me. This movie was 220 of
I know where you're going. Go ahead.
Of pure pain. And I don't mean pure pain as in like what I'm watching on the screen is painful, but it's a beautiful artistic. No, this movie was another one.
Yes.
Made to win awards. This movie was made to win awards from every aspect of this piece of shit film. It was made to win awards. And I'm pretty sure it'll get nominated because of the subject matter, because of how it was shot, because of the acting ability. And it is about as entertaining as watching paint dry. But like, take that and times it by 1,000. And that's how boring this movie was. The movie I'm talking about is Nickel Boys.
Oh, whoops.
What movie did you think I was talking about?
Megalopolis. I thought you were going.
Didn't say it. Started watching it. Got 20 minutes in. Did not see it. It might be on next year's list. Who's to say?
Nickel Boys, the POV movie, the shot from the point of view of the storyteller, right? Yeah,
and like that's you take the subject matter of two boys. Well, first of all, it's based on a book. Yep. You know, the Academy loves that. The subject matter is very serious. It's youth getting abused and all that. Not sexually abused, but they're getting abused. So the Academy is going to be all over that. The point of view shot, it is just not entertaining. I'm weird. I want to be entertained in a movie. especially when it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. I couldn't wait for it to be over. I walked out of that theater. I was actively looking for the marketing person to just rip. Not them, but just the movie, right? Because it's not their fault. A lot of times these marketing people that are there, they're thinking the same thing you're thinking. Like, well, what the fuck did I just watch? So I walk out. She's not there. And I'm like, I'm not letting this die. I'm emailing her. And I emailed her and said, I should have stayed home and just watched the wall. I would have at least saved on parking because it was that bad. And it will be a movie that I think is creeping out in a theaters now. It'll be a movie that's going to get a push for Oscars. And I'm telling you, if you want to be entertained, don't go see this one. If you want to be bored out of your fucking mind, please, by all means, if you want a good nap, this is a great movie to nap through. Phenomenal movie to nap. The acting is not good by the two kids. Not good. Our boy's in it. The boy that we were talking about earlier. That's in everything that we can't stand.
Oh, Stoner Boy?
Yeah, like David, whatever his name is.
Syphilitic Stoner Boy.
Yeah, the kid with the big head. It's really, really rough, and I can't bash it enough. I can't get the time of my life back from this movie, and it's one of those where I was waiting for something, and it became pretty evident early on that I was never going to get the payoff because the writer, the director, all of that, they went, you know what? I got an empty trophy case. Let's fill that bitch up. And that's what we got for this one. So you can skip all that. Once again, top 5 is Civil War, Joker, Folie à Deux, Madam Web, Queer, Nickel Boys. Real quick, when I went to go to Craven the Hunter, and that was another one that was like only critics, because they didn't want audiences to see that one. Understandable.
Yep.
So I go to Craven the Hunter. And the movie starts out, and the screen is like, it's like cut off. So imagine like that. Like that's how the movie starts out. Now clearly it's got to be fixed, right? And it's the same critic, so everybody's like, "Oh my god, this movie's gonna be dog shit." They're going in with the thought that this movie's gonna be really bad. They start cracking up, whatever. Somebody goes to fix it, and I made the joke. It's still better than Madame Web. Now, most people got that joke, right? And a lot of people were like, wow, that Pat guy, he's so funny. Keep in mind, I don't talk to these people. I don't talk to these people because they're this pretentious. And then I get like 2 guys that go, Madame? As in like, who's this casual? And I'm like, fuck you all. I won't be talking for the next year. Like,
you're New Yorker here.
You're missing out on all this comedic gold that is flowing through my 5'3" frame because you played yourself, because you had to make fun of me because I said Madame instead of Madame. And I'm like, God, they're the worst. Critics are the worst. Critics are the worst. As I sit here and critique movies.
All right. Can I throw 2 on the
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You're here too.
Unfrosted. The Jerry Seinfeld Pop-Tart. The Capitalism is Great movie with just listen, Jerry Seinfeld really Seinfeld was great, but he really is kind of a one-trick pony.
Yeah, he doesn't have much to offer.
I mean, you learn how good Larry David is.
Yeah, even Seinfeld. Was it him or was it Larry David? And
it was more
Larry. I always thought Jerry Seinfeld was the worst part of Seinfeld.
Yep.
Like I thought everybody else was great, and Seinfeld was just kind of there. I almost put it on the list. There were times where I was amused by it, so that's why I didn't. But I don't think it was anything to write home about.
My number 1 disappointment of 2024 was Knives on Boots, Ice Skating on Oil, which is Argyle. Which
really,
I'm telling you, man, that I wanted to see the movie that they were pretending to be at the beginning with John Cena. Show me that movie, everything in between. I apparently hit a little nerve there, so I'm going to finish it off with The Crow, which everybody told them don't do it. They said, well, don't worry, we'll be true to it. Everybody said, don't do it. Yeah, we'll do it anyway. We'll bring in Phoebe Twigs. She'll be great. Yeah.
I didn't see The Crow. I have no interest in seeing The Crow. But I did hear it's really bad.
It's bad.
We'll talk about Argyle in a little bit.
Oh no!
With that.
Oh boy!
I'll start out now. I liked it. I liked it. It was on my honorable mention list for best. I did, man. I liked it. First of all, have never, ever, ever, ever seen Bryce Dallas Howard look that good. What up? Sup, girl? I'm single now, so like, if you're looking for a guy that's got $75 worth of ice cream in his freezer, please, Bryce Dallas Howard, hit me up, because she was looking like a snack, curves in all the right areas. Hello. I again, I knew nothing about this movie. I went in and I was entertained, and I understand why you're saying what you are. I feel like most critics probably had that aspect of it, but I'm not saying it was the best movie at all. But I was just entertained by it. Yeah, the knives on oil, like, it was ridiculous. But
I think we have a reverse Twisters going on right now.
probably a little bit. But I just went in and I don't know, the fact that it was like a book and it was based on a book, and then like I just all of it. I liked it, and I thought that it was one of Apple does really, really good shows. They failed to do really good movies. And I'm not sitting here saying that this is a really, really good movie, but for entertainment purposes, I was entertained by it. And I put it on the list, but I did not put it, very far. But it went into my like, yeah, okay. I walked out of this movie and liked it.
Okay.
But again, like, it's all subjective. Another movie that I saw, and I think it's from last year, but I saw it for the first time this year, another kids movie, Orion and the Dark, was a really well done Netflix kids movie.
Never saw it.
Yeah, if you're a parent out there, I just needed something that wasn't the same stuff we've been watching. So I needed to put something on, and I put on Orion in the Dark. And same thing happened last year with me and Leo, where I was like, I need to put something on. I'll put on Leo for the kid, and loved it. And Orion in the Dark is a little serious. I mean, I don't know if, like, when my kid watched, he was 5. I don't think he got everything that was in it. You probably need to be like 7 or 8 to like really, really grasp it. But when I do these reviews for kids movies, I always say, like, look, here's what the kid thinks, and I'll record him. And then I'm like, but as a parent, will you want to pull your hair out and, go park your car in a garage and leave it running? Orion in the Dark was like front to back. It was just really good.
Okay.
And it's a creative movie. So check that out. It's on Netflix now. Next one, which was high, and I thought it was one of the funniest movies of the year, The Fall Guy.
I love The Fall Guy.
Yeah, with Ryan Reynolds.
Didn't do better.
Yeah, I'm really surprised too. This movie was absolutely hilarious. Like, laugh out loud funny in a day and age that we don't really have hilarious movies. The Fall Guy was hilarious. And Ryan Reynolds is such Ryan Gosling, I'm sorry. Is it Ryan Gosling? Yeah, it's Ryan Gosling.
Yep.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling. He was a liability in the secondary. He's so good comedic timing, and we've seen that throughout the years. Like Crazy Stupid Love, he's great in that, and it's a lot of it's his comedic timing.
Saturday Night Live, he's always a good guest.
Yeah, like, La La Land, like I thought he was great in La La Land in terms of like the comedic timing part, and in this movie he just shines. And he playing off of
Emily Blunt.
Yeah, Emily Blunt. I mean, from front to back, like, this movie was really good. I think it's on streaming now. At least it was. It was on HBO for a while. If you get a chance to see The Fall Guy, like, it is a great date movie that you can just
love letter to the stunt crews, and they kind of let you behind the scenes of what it takes.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about the ending because I just thought they dragged it out a little bit. But I mean, in terms of just entertainment purposes, yeah, it really, really hit the mark. There's a hilarious scene where he's trying to apologize, and she's making him do the same scene over and over again. And it's just like, it as I said, it's laugh out loud funny. The Fall Guy was definitely on my list. The next one that I'll talk about is the last movie of the year that I saw, which was a movie that I saw thanks to you, Snack Shack. And this was very high on my, like, this was probably 6 or 7 on my list. I don't know anybody that's really talking about it too much other than movie nerds, but this movie can be watched now on Amazon Prime for free. And it's a coming of age movie about 2 kids who are trying to grind away in the 90s at a snack shack of their neighborhood pool. And it's just really, really well done. And it's a really, really good coming of age movie. My only problem with this movie is teenagers don't look like that.
No. But they didn't look like the people in 90210 back in the day either.
One of my favorite parts about the movie Good Boys is the fact that That's what 12-year-olds look like.
Correct.
We didn't take 20-year-olds and make them 12-year-old. 12 years old. I can't talk. I'm having a stroke. Like the girl.
Sorry, in 1 year, the guy went from being in Snack Shack to being Lorne Michaels in Saturday Night.
That's my point. And he's great in it. Like the kid that we're talking about is Gabriel LaBelle, who plays Moose in Snack Shack, and he's great in Snack Shack. He's also great in in One Saturday Night or whatever it's called, where he plays Lorne Michaels, and he's definitely one to watch. Like his stock is going to be rising. The girl in this movie is so incredible. Like by definition of my type. Again, I'm single now, so if she's interested in a guy that has $76 worth of ice cream, like, girl, I got you. I got Dove. The only place you find Magnum in my house is in the freezer, but it's there. Okay, so she can also hit me up if she wants to go to Qdoba. But yeah, this movie, just like, that's the only gripe I had with it. There's really the parents of the one character in this movie are incredibly funny in it.
Have you ever seen Billions?
Yeah, I didn't like.
So that's the guy from Billions,
David Costabel.
Yeah, he has like the little mini twirlies.
Yeah.
He's the right hand to Axe.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy that you recognize when you see him. But he does this whole skit of, like, he plays a judge. He does this whole skit of he's at an auction house. It's hilarious. And I'm a big fan of coming of age movies anyway. This movie was a really strong coming of age movie, and it's on Amazon Prime now. As I said, I don't really hear any casuals talking about it, but it's making everybody's like top 5, top 10 lists of the year because it's just a very, very well done movie. So Snack Shack, if you haven't seen that one. Next one on the honorable mention list, and this was another really, really high one, was The Wild Robot.
Oh, I cried like a baby.
Dude, I went to go to this movie with my kid, and I wasn't expecting a ton just because it is a kid's movie, and I'm not really, I'm weird. Like, in some kids' movies I really gravitate towards and I love them, and they end up making my list. And then other ones like Garfield, I'm like, okay, how much time we got here? The Wild Robot was so incredibly good from front to back. The animation, the storyline was incredible. I can't say enough good things about it. And this is a movie that, as an adult, if you don't have kids, you will enjoy.
Yes.
And that's the telltale of a really, really good animated movie, is you don't have to sit there and go to the movie theater to watch this with kids. The good news is it's not in the theaters anymore. So even if you want to do that with fear of looking like a P. Diddy, you don't have that problem anyway. But my point is, if you rolled into The Wild Robot and you were like, I think I just want to watch this movie. Like, I don't have kids. Is it going to be weird? I personally wouldn't think it was weird just because it's a great movie. Other people probably would. They'd go, what's this dude here? What's he doing? Anyway, we'll move on. Did you see the movie Milk and Cereal?
No. My cohort, Chad on Scene Invaders, raved about it. It's on YouTube, correct?
It is on YouTube. And for those that are unaware, it's only an hour and 10 minutes. It's like an hour and 10, hour and 15. And it's made by 2 film students. And it is so incredibly well done that these guys should be scooped up if they haven't. I'm sure they have already. It's got a ton of views. Like, this thing has a few million, I feel like, at this point. When I saw it, I don't know how many it had, but it's definitely a horror movie, but a very, very well done horror movie about 2 pranksters that end up, it's hard really to explain. The one character is called Milk. There's a serial killer aspect of it. That's why it's Milk and Cereal, but like, it's very, very well done. And the kid who wrote it is one of the main stars, and he's really, really good in it. And the ending is like a flat out chef's kiss ending that is worth watching an hour and 15 minutes and suffering through the ads. If you have ads on your YouTube, if you do, by the way, please let them run for me. Nobody else. For me, I have bills to pay. You can buy a mug if you want. But yeah, dude, check this out. Milk and Cereal on YouTube. Don't do it right now, though. Wait till my live stream ends and do it. But if you're a horror fanatic, you will really, really like this movie. It was really, really well done. Next one on my list was a movie that probably will end up either being 1 or 2 for Best Picture, Conclave.
Yep.
The only reason I don't have it on my list was the ending.
So, and I was shocked how many people have been raving about it. And I thought the ending would be very diversive, and it's kind of been accepted a lot more than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was going to be a very hot button topic amongst some people, and it wasn't. And once again, like, hey, ally here, do whatever you want with your own body. But for me, it was just a little ridiculous, and that's why it kind of lost me.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't necessarily the subject matter. It was just like, did we need that aspect of it? And I said, like, I don't think we did. I think
I
we would have
think
had a really good movie if you didn't have that part of it.
I think you had so many like big hitters in this of like, listen, the Tooch is the Tooch. He does nothing bad. Like Stanley Tucci kills it. One face that I was shocked to see and thought she was amazing in it was Isabella Rossellini.
Yeah.
And I mean, like she killed it. I mean, John Lithgow shows like it's kind of like all these different these very very just highbrow actors come in and just kill it.
Yeah, I mean, it from front to finish. And like, I grew up, went to Catholic school for 13 years, so like, just taking me in that world of choosing a pope, I thought was really really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I love that part of it. I was engrossed by this slow burn from start to finish. And as I said, like, I don't necessarily a problem with the ending. It was just more of like
Uh-huh.
I felt like they just tried too hard with the ending, that they didn't need to do it.
Right.
It's kind of like it's it's similar if I started like curling my hair. Like, do I need that, Dave, to pick up women? No, I don't. I don't need to curl my hair. I can get women just like this. And my $75 worth of ice cream in my freezer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little extra, is my point. It's a little much. We don't need it. But then again, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. It was just more of like, I just don't think we needed it. Not my best analogy. I'll admit that. Hit thumbs down for that, folks. Next up, the best movie I saw at the Philadelphia Film Festival, which it was not a good year for film festival. I'll tell you that right now. Love the Philly Film Festival. Not a good year for the films. Conclave was actually one of them. I just didn't see it at the film festival. But best movie I saw was The Order with Jude Law,
Yes.
Nicholas Hoult. True story that I was completely unfamiliar with, about an FBI agent who takes down basically members of the Aryan Brotherhood in the 1980s. And I think it's the strongest performance we've seen from Nicholas Hoult ever.
Yes.
Like,
Jude Law kills it in it. Nicholas Hoult is just great. I mean, he's having a killer year too. It's so gritty in terms of the way they film it, in terms of like it looks like a 70s movie in just the way the cinematography is and everything
yeah,
else. I'm a little upset that more people didn't see it. Now, hopefully, this will be one of those, like, when it goes to streaming, people will be like, "This is the greatest thing ever." I'm shocked that it didn't do that well in the box office. I thought this is your classic FBI, like Mississippi Burning, those type of things of like, all right, let's find the bad guy, prove him wrong, and that type of thing.
yeah, I thought the same thing, man. I thought this was going to be a box office hit, and it wasn't. And I was really surprised by it because it does have a pretty strong cast. As I said, Nicholas Hoult, we've never seen him better. But yeah, this movie was really, 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 really good. The next one I'll talk about is another movie that I saw at the Philadelphia Film Festival, and I knew nothing about this one. Escape from the 21st Century is a movie completely in Mandarin. All right, like it's subtitles, but this movie is about three kids who are on another planet that is basically like Earth, just like Earth. They're in the year 1999, and they hop in some like goo, some toxic goo straight out of like the Secret Life of Alex Strange, and they teleport into the future, into 2019, and they're able to see their future selves and what they've become. And I, as an ignorant American, would see spoofs of like Asian movies or commercials and think like, man, they're overdoing it. Like, there's no way they're like that. No, apparently it really is, because this movie was that, like, the ridiculousness that you will see in a spoofed Asian commercial was this movie, but it was so entertaining and so well done. I don't know where you'd find it, honestly, but this was a movie that I knew zilch about, and it was just a really interesting premise of trying to avoid your destiny, the three best friends. Do they stay together? Are they still friends? What's their backstory? All of that. The only downside of it is if you don't like reading for a movie, you're probably not going to like this.
I just wrote it down because I've never heard of it, and I'm gonna look
it
it
on
up.
Your Plex.
Was it?
Yeah, you downloaded it.
Oh,
I
haven't watched it.
This is embarrassing for you. Next one is a movie that we were arguing about. Y2K was incredible. Y2K was incredible for my generation, though, and also for yours, Dave. All right,
I'm there.
You're like 2 years older than me.
Where were you on Y2K?
Sleeping.
I was in Atlantic City hoping the lights would go out so we could take all the chips.
That wouldn't have ended well for you, bud. I'm gonna tell you right now. All right, you would have been the dude in Shawshank who was crying night one. That would not have ended well for you. What casino?
It was bad. What was it? The Wild Wild West.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, that was that was like the ghetto one. So
yeah.
We figured they wouldn't have the best security. No, I'm just kidding. We were down in Atlantic City for Y2K.
Yeah, I was sleeping. My mom did buy like water because the government's like, we don't really know what's gonna happen, so just a heads up. But this movie is definitely for a certain demographic, and that demographic is if you were I was in grade school at the time. I was in 5th grade. Dave, you were in high school, I believe, at the time.
Yeah, I was a senior. Yeah, I graduated, I think.
So actually, this movie is perfect for you because it's literally about like seniors in high school. Y2K hits, and they're all at a party, and the machines take over, a la Terminator style, and start killing everybody. But it's so absurd the way that they're killing people that it's hilarious. But it's also the homages to the day and age that we had of we're talking like the fashion trends.
Yes.
AOL Instant Messenger. Like, did you finally see this movie, by the way?
I saw parts of it because I started it too late at night. But I'll tell you, it reminds me of like if Small Soldiers was allowed to go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Small Soldiers got an R rated, that seems like how all the killing was going down.
Yeah.
So like I did enjoy what I saw. I just started it too late in the evening.
Yeah, it was like I was actually laughing out loud while watching this movie. I would have loved it if it was like my generation personally, where we would have like some hot emo chick who's listening to Brand New with a lot of mascara, who's like writing on her live journal or MySpace. Like she had a hot name, but like begins with like an M or something. I'm just spitballing here. But if it was like one of those, but it didn't take away from my enjoyment of it, and there's little tiny nuances that they didn't need to include. Like real quickly, it flashes like Midway Games that I think is now a defunct game company, but they had like amazing video games like NHL Hits and NFL Blitz and all that.
Was it NBA Jam then too?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, and then the last movie, this probably would have been my number 6 movie on my list. Was My Old Ass, another Amazon movie that you can check out now.
I loved My Old Ass.
I don't know anybody that didn't love My Old Ass. I recently suggested this to a girl. What up? By the way, if she's listening, she's probably not. But if she's listening, what up? And I was trying to like get in good with her. So I was like, what do I have to offer other than the freezer of ice cream that I've talked about ad nauseum? I have movie suggestions to offer. And I told her about My Old Ass, and I told her about Snack Shack. And she texted me during My Old Ass and was like, I'm a mess. Like, yeah. So story about this one. No, I can't tell that story. Never mind. It's too personal. No, I really can't. I shouldn't even have said it. But this movie was very creative. I'm too dumb to get the ending. Like when the big reveal of the ending happens for My Old Ass, I went, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. Like everybody else in the theater was like, how did you not? Well, because I'm not that intelligent, but it didn't take away from the enjoyment of this movie of being a high school kid thinking, oh, I got to get out of I got to get to the big city and
I got to get out of the coolest town ever. I mean, like if you had to take a boat like that from like place to place, like it's Muskoka, Canada. Like sign me up. I want to be there.
I'd rather go to Vancouver personally. I hear it's beautiful this time of year, but I hear it's really expensive. But that's where I'm going. I'm not going to boat country. All right, I'm going to Vancouver, British Columbia. I think it's British Columbia.
I'll
That's where
take the
I'm.
dock left.
Yeah, well, you're wrong. It's fine. Find me a good Canadian chick. All right, like a good hot Canadian girl. Unfortunately, though, I feel like if I found a good as soon as she sees me play hockey, like it's over. Because you've seen me play, it's not good.
Yeah, you got to learn how to be a curling and learn how to be a curler.
We're moving on. Yeah. We're moving on. Top 5 best movies of the year. Once again, if you have any questions, just throw them in the chat. But top 5 movies of the year. These are my favorite movies that I saw this past year. And again, if you want, you can see the list below. There it was, and I actually did this while I was doing it. I realized that I didn't ever I didn't have Madame Web or whatever you want to call Madame Web. I didn't have it on my list. So I actually had to include it on my list because I was like, wait, that definitely did come out this year. I definitely saw it. I lived that hard life. So it says 90 movies. I saw 91. Doesn't really matter. Top 5 movies of the year. Number 5 is a movie that I had high expectations for, and boy, did it deliver. And it also spoke to my boy band heart. It is Deadpool and Wolverine. This movie was hilarious, but also I felt like the storyline hit it. I felt like the storyline had you hooked. They had callbacks to the franchise that I love. Like legitimately, there's one character that comes back that I realized was coming back, and I was saying in the theater, like, holy shit, no way. That I don't want to give away if you haven't seen the movie. But it is hysterical. And these two guys and Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman play off each other so well. And it wraps up with this beautiful rendition of Like a Prayer by Madonna. Who doesn't like that, Dave? Everybody likes that song. It just from start to finish, this movie just hit the mark completely. And I couldn't get enough of it.
It's what will save Marvel. I related it to it is the sorbet in the Marvel meal of cleansing the palate of the stuff that you have consumed before. The million jokes that I'm surprised have not just been repeated ad nauseum, like Borat or Austin Powers, but they're still funny. The jokes still hit. I can watch it tonight, and the jokes will still hit.
Yeah, and as I said, for my boy band heart, the whole NSYNC's that whole scene, I was into it. Like I was bopping, I was doing the bye in the theater. Like I didn't care. I didn't care who was getting weirded out by it. Like this was my moment to shine. I took that exam. Ain't no lie. Like it was great from top to bottom.
You really saw that they had a blast making it.
Yeah.
And they just came through on the screen that everybody there was like, this is incredible. I can't believe we're able to do this.
I adored them. I just wanted to wrap them up and just call them my own. I adored both of them. But then also, as I said, it's like this movie I felt like getting better and better and better as the movie went on. Kept getting funnier. And then, it's capped off with the I'm about to make a name for myself. Like the whole thing was just great. So Deadpool and Wolverine, if you haven't seen it, I don't even think you need to be a Marvel fan. You're going to definitely enjoy it more if you are a Marvel fan. But I don't think you need to be a Marvel fan or a comic book fan to enjoy the movie because it is so. You could just
be a Ryan Reynolds fan. You could be a Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza fan.
Yeah, he loves bringing up that failed show. All right, so we ripped this dude's movie earlier, and it was one of the worst movies I saw. But his first movie of the year, Challengers, number 4 on my list. This movie was incredible.
Yes,
like he should have stopped here. He should have stopped at Challengers. I didn't know what to expect this movie. Like I knew it was Zendaya tennis. Like it was the horniness of tennis, which we talk about.
Okay, we get it. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a horny sport, like ball going back and forth, sexual tension nonstop. All right. Federer, Nadal, like who's doing who? We don't know.
Right.
We don't know. And that's what we got with this movie was the horniness of tennis, but done in a way that reminded me of one of my favorite baseball movies, which was For Love of the Game. Because in this movie, you've got a tennis match between two former friends turned rivals But during the tennis match, they're telling you the backstory. And then they
Mhm.
go back to the tennis match. Then they tell you more of the backstory. Go back to the tennis match. This was a coming out party for me for Zendaya. I thought she was incredible. This was her bad bitch moment. This was her like completely, I'm not, some coked out fiend from Euphoria. I'm actually like a really, really good actress. I'm more than just Tom Holland's side piece. Mary Jane. Like I can act. And I think we all knew she could act. But
Yep.
this to me was her like, oh my God, like she's on another level with this movie. It was extremely entertaining. It had funny moments in it, but I'm a big sucker for sports fans, as you know, or sports movies, as you know.
Mhm.
And while this movie wasn't necessarily a, all-in sports movie, this movie had enough of it where it'll keep both the person that loves like a romantic movie, they'll be involved in it, not necessarily to the point of for love of the game, because there's way more.
This is a more adult version of Love and Basketball, and a more
Yeah,
competitive version of that, where it's like the back and forth. I mean, it's the tennis analogy is amazing in it. The Michael Faust,
Foss, I think. Yeah,
Faust, he blew me away in West Side Story. He was like the right hand man in Spielberg's West Side Story. I'm like, oh, what is this guy in? And apparently, he was on Broadway with Dear Evan Hansen. I thought the guys, kind of stole the show from Zendaya, which
yeah, no, they were great.
was
Like
the
I
whole
thought,
point of the movie.
I think all of the acting in this was incredible. I've never seen Zendaya be that ruthless in anything,
Yes.
and she was as cutthroat as it gets in this movie. I think it's on HBO Max at this point. It's on one of the streaming services. But yeah, definitely check out Challengers if you haven't done so. Once again, if you have any comments or questions, just throw them in the chat. Number 3 on my list is a hot button movie that did not do well at all. And I think it's pretty obvious of why it didn't do well. If you can get by the subject matter, Inside is a really good look into the creation of either, however you view the guy, either a monster or a hero. But the movie I'm talking about is The Apprentice, the movie, the Sebastian Stan movie about Donald Trump. I think it's obvious why it didn't do well. Like pro-Trump people are going to go, "Wow, this is another takedown piece of our Lord and Savior," and people that don't like Donald Trump are going to go, "I'm not going to go watch a movie on Donald Trump." And it
Yeah.
caused everybody to go, "Yeah, thanks, but no thanks." And I didn't think this was going to be good. Like hand up, I did not think a movie about Donald, and it wasn't even the subject matter. It was like you weren't hearing much about it.
Mhm.
It seemed like it wasn't even going to be in theaters. Boy, was I wrong, because the acting performances in this, especially from Jeremy Strong, who was nominated for a Golden Globe, who lost last night in a bucket hat, very embarrassing for him. But the acting
He looked
performance,
like the one team from Dodgeball, the Dodgeball movie, when the guys show up in the light blue outfits.
yeah, he looked ridiculous. I think he probably would have won had he not shown up looking like that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go on Twitter and search it. Lost to Kieran Culkin. So the eldest boy once again loses. Which I didn't talk about this movie real quick, and I'm just getting sidetracked. But I thought about putting A Real Pain on my list of like honorable mentions because I did really enjoy it. What annoyed me though is Kieran Culkin just won a Golden Globe, and I don't like award ceremonies at all. It's actually why I started doing the list. He won a Golden Globe for his role in A Real Pain, which is a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
But he basically plays a normalized, broke version of Roman Roy. And to win an award for that, I went like, really? Like, we've seen him do that, is my point.
Who is Robin Roy is just Kieran Culkin. Like, yeah, it's just Kieran Culkin being Kieran Culkin.
I don't think so though. I don't think Kieran Culkin is Roman Roy. I think he plays that character so well. But I worry he's getting typecast at this point because I do think he's really good, but he's getting typecast as the quirky like douchebag. Now, in Succession, he was the quirky douchebag, but he was rich.
Right.
He didn't care about anybody. And in A Real Pain, he's the quirky douchebag, but he's just broke. And there's the difference. I'm not saying it's a bad performance. It was really good. I just went like, oh, okay, so he's basically playing Roman Roy, but he's broke. And I was surprised that he won for that. Whereas in The Apprentice, Jeremy Strong, who plays Roy, oh god, I gotta look it up on IMDb. Roy something. But he plays Donald Trump's lawyer, who ended up being Roy Cohn. Yeah, he ended up being Donald Trump's really mentor and teaching Donald Trump about like this never say die attitude and attack. He's so good in this role that it's scary at times. Sebastian Stan is also really good in it. Now, at times you go like, wow, he's got Trump's mannerisms down to a T. And then at other times I go, okay, that's Sebastian Stan trying to do a Donald Trump impression. But this, as I said, this movie is a really good character study into the creation of what we now know as the president of the United States. Mm-hmm. And how he went from being kind of an underling for his father's business to taking over and like a cutthroat mentality and a no-holds-barred mentality, and where that came from, that he wasn't just born like this. It was kind of created from the guidance of Jeremy Strong's character. And look, I mean, I'll hit thumbs down if you want. I'm not a Trump guy at all. Now, Dave, I know you were there on January 6th for what you were there 4 years ago. Ready to storm the Capitol.
In my well, yeah, okay. I don't have anything else to go there.
No, you were there. You were there. You were ready. You were ready to storm the Capitol. You were there with the guy with the furry hat. So you had furry hat guy. With the shaman, and then it was Dave Hendricks.
Well, that was Hendricks Dave.
Yes. No, kidding. Neither of us are Trump guys, but even if you're not, this movie's really good and it's worth watching. Mm-hmm. And if you are a Trump guy, I think this is worth watching too, or a Trump girl. Like, it doesn't matter. I think you'll just find it interesting, the subject matter of the guy. So take that for what it's worth. And we'll move on to number 2 on the list. And this is a kid's movie that just spoke to me. It had me, and it still has me thinking deep about everything that was encapsulated in this movie. It was Inside Out 2. I don't know if there's ever been a better movie that explains feelings the way that Inside Out 2 explains feelings. And in particular, in this movie, anxiety. Mm-hmm. The way that they broke down anxiety, it was like, oh my, like I was never able to do it. And then like they just came and they were like, here's a little monster that is thinking about every negative thing that could happen. It hit on another level for me personally, because I'm sitting there watching it and it's like, she's a hockey player. She's worried about sucking. And then I'm a hockey player and I do suck, but I also worried about sucking. Like, so for me on a personal level, I was like, I know that feeling. Mm-hmm. But this movie does so well with that aspect of explaining it, and it just made it a grown-up level. And I think that this is a movie where I took my then 5-year-old to it. He loved it. Did he understand it? Probably not. And that's what I love about it, was I think adults are going to take way more from this movie than the kids will. The kids will be entertained, no question about it. The adults will be in tears because they're going to resonate with what this girl is going through. Not just with puberty, but just like as adulthood, of like no longer being able to enjoy the things that you enjoy because you're worried about the other shoe dropping, if you will. And this movie was incredible.
The world's a better place with this movie being made. And it's like something, when you and I grew up, we didn't have anything that would explain these feelings in the way that this did. So like I look at this generation is so lucky to have Inside Out 1 and 2, of just the visualization and just the explanation of these feelings that you have at that age and in your life.
Yeah, it was I think at this point pretty much everyone has seen it, so there's not really much else to say. But for me, Inside Out was my I gotta look, but it was one of my number one movie, or my top 5 at least movie when the year it came out. I loved it. I think it's one of Pixar's best franchises, unquestionably. Mm-hmm. And then this year it was narrowly beaten out by my number 1 movie. But yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, and I told all the guys that I play hockey with, I'm like, it's gonna hit different. I'm just telling you, it's good at, whether you play competitively or you play shinny or if you like, it's just it. We've all been there. Like we've all been playing where you're like, oh my god, I'm worried about not making the pass or the shot or the goal or who's watching, and all of that is just yeah. All right, number one movie of the year, and I have a story behind this one, but this movie was a visual masterpiece, and it is Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2 was, they took Dune 1 and they added to it tenfold. I thought Dune 1 was good, but there was a lot of setup to it. I thought the sound mix was terrible in it. And even rewatching it, like it wasn't just the theater I was in. Like I had to put subtitles on for Rebecca Ferguson's character a lot of times. The storyline, though, jumped up exponentially in Dune Part 2. The acting was incredible. Like, can we just please give Timothée Chalamet an Oscar at this point so we can continue to do movies like this? He was incredible in it. I can't say a bad word about, like, I went into it wanting to hate Austin Butler because I'm getting sick of all, like, I get to the point where I was sick of Austin Butler. It wasn't just the Elvis stuff, but I saw one of my favorite miniseries of the year was Masters of the Air, the Apple miniseries on World War II fighter pilots. Austin Butler's in it. He's playing Elvis. He's playing Elvis
in the air.
Yeah, and he's like just the accent, everything from like the I'm cooler than you. So I was annoyed with him. Austin Butler is amazing in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
He is terrifying in this movie. Like he took his acting to everybody just jumped up a step, a bar for Dune Part 2. And Denis Villeneuve, or however you say his name, like he cemented himself as one of my favorite directors because he just has kept getting hit after hit after hit. And this movie was an absolute masterpiece. I don't usually come out of movies going like, holy shit, that 3-hour saga was a masterpiece. I came out of this one saying it was a masterpiece.
I mean, Dune is historically been the unfilmable dream. And what Villeneuve or Villy, whatever, what he does is everybody gets their time to shine. Josh Brolin kills it. Sarsgaard kills it. Zendaya kills it. Ferguson kills it. Like, he lets all of them, Javier Bardem, hilarious and kills it.
Yes. Incredible in it. Incredible.
Like, how do you get away with that big of a cast? And everybody, they all have their time to shine.
So my Dune Part 2 story for all 4 people watching now. I end up going to, and by the way, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. Because I wouldn't watch me. But as long as you let the ads run, that's all I care about. So my Dune Part 2 story was I go to the screening for Dune Part 2. And it was at a place in PA called Neshaminy. And I told the person that I was going with, you know this story. I told the person I was going with, hey, when I go to Neshaminy, I go to a place called Nifty 50s. I sneak the food in. Nifty 50s is like this 50s style restaurant in Philly, and their specialty is like they have like 70 different kinds of milkshakes.
Yeah, apple pie milkshake.
Yeah, it's like I usually get Rocky Road or s'mores, but I always sneak in a milkshake. I sneak in like food, you know. So I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do that. She's like, cool. I go to pick her up, and she lives near the Nifty 50s in Fishtown. I'm like, we'll just go there. So we go there, we get food, we get our milkshakes, and we get to the theater. And she's like, how the fuck am I getting this in? You gotta remember, it's March, so it's cold. So she's wearing a jacket that has like cuffed arms, kind of like this, right? But it's more cuffed. And I go, look, take your jacket off, put the milkshake in your sleeve, in your arm sleeve, and then put your arm through it and just kind of like hold your arm like this, like down straight, but you're like cupping your arm like that. I go, we'll get in, no problem. I put mine under my hoodie. I got my arm in my hoodie pouch and I'm like holding it there, right? So we're walking in this theater strapped with milkshakes. We're strapped with frozen dairy desserts. And I get to the front where the marketing people are. And I go, hey guys, how are you? Because they know me at this point. And they go, hey, there are no guests. And I go, are you screwing with me? She's like, no, I'm so sorry. There's no guests allowed. And clearly I brought a guest. I'm like, you mean the girl that has a milkshake in her sleeve, she can't come in? They go, no, girl with milkshake in sleeve, she cannot come in. Well, it's like, well, now I just drove 40 minutes to the theater to see this movie. What am I going to do, Dave? I'm her ride. Can't tell her to go home. So I go, all right, I guess we're not seeing Dune 2. I can't tell her, hey, you go to the car. All right, I'll be back in 2 hours and 40. And there's nothing around the Chamonix. Like the mall is dead. So we leave. Sad milkshakes at this point. Like we have to just like sadly walk out of the theater with these sad milkshakes. We're really waddling because we want to drop.
The milkshake did not bring all the boys to the yard.
It did not, and they weren't like it's better than yours. So I went the next day because immediately the marketing people were like, "Hey, like there's a screening in Center City tomorrow. There's a screening next week." I go, "Okay, I'll go tomorrow." So I show up for that one, and the guy was like, "Oh, you didn't bring a friend this time?" And I was like, "Oh no, dude. I texted her and she said same phone. Who dis? Like she's never talking to me again after that." And I explained the whole like what you guys did not know was that we were literally hiding milkshakes in our like coats, and you guys shut us out. Like you guys were like, you're not coming in with those. So saw Dune 2 the next day, but I was the first one in the theater. I thought it was a 7:00 screening, so I get there at 6:50. I get there 40 minutes early because the screening was at 7:30, having no idea. No one told me it was at 7:30. So at this point, the Dune experience is not good for me. So I sit down, the first one in the theater. I sit down. I'm basically like center row. The next guy that walks in, and I'm talking the second guy, sits right next to me. And I'm like, okay, this is how we're playing this. But he was cool, though. He was cool. We just, he had his like Dune popcorn bucket, and then we watched some amazing cinema. But that's my Dune Part 2 story that nobody asked for. And somehow we didn't lose a viewer. That's the most amazing part. I just told nonsense, and nobody was like, you know what? I think I'm good here. I'm gonna actually unsubscribe.
Listen, I am waiting for the recaps Instagram where you just take pictures of the food that you sneak in the movies. You don't have to show the movie that you're in. It's just I want pictures of the food that you sneak in.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Instagram, and I don't think a lot of people on my channel know I do have an Instagram for the channel, if you will. But the Instagram is literally just selfies of me at the movies by myself. Like that's right. That's the joke of it, is like here's this sad little boy at the movies by himself, and the Instagram isn't like the recaps. But if I did that, and if I had a pictures of me sneaking food in, it would pretty much just be the same food, because I have my bag full of snacks that I will sneak in. At this point, the bag full of snacks has chocolate covered popcorn. It's got like 4 different kinds of Nerds clusters, Swedish fish, and Sour Patch Kids. And I feel like there's one other thing in there that I recently put in. I forget what it is. Yeah, but there definitely is one other thing.
You've done like chicken wings.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think it would maybe entice you to up your game a little bit. Like I want to see a full Cheesecake Factory entree, like hitting the Regal.
I haven't done Cheesecake Factory entree. I've done cheesecake from Cheesecake Factory. I have no problem. Like, so for people that don't know, I wasn't always a YouTuber. At one point I was on the radio. So I did radio for a while until like the radio industry said, like, you know what, like a lot of people, they were like, you know what, unsubscribe. We don't need this guy. We're gonna kick him out. So they laid me off. So that forced me to do this full time. And that's why now I beg for donations and for you to let the ads run. So when I was in radio at that point, we had an event, a station event every year that the tickets were free, and we would basically just give these things out. We would give out like 10,000 tickets, hoping that 5,000 people showed up. It was one of those things. So one day I was producing one of the shows, and we literally played a game on the air of, if you could call up and name something that you have snuck into the theater that I hadn't snuck in, you would get tickets to our station event. I can tell you right now, not a lot of people got tickets. The easiest way to do it was like, oh, I snuck in alcohol because I don't drink.
Right.
And like that was like, okay, well, but like one guy was like, oh, I snuck in sushi. I was like, bro, I snuck in sushi and then some. Like that's light work.
Yeah, you need to sneak in the sushi boat, the boat of sushi.
Yeah, I mean, I just went to Wegmans and got like a little 8-piece of a California roll. The craziest thing I've ever snuck in was Chick-fil-A and a crepe. That was the John Wick 3. Yeah, John Wick 3. I did Chick-fil-A and a crepe. The crepe place, which I wish to God was still open in the King of Prussia Mall, nobody went there. You knew it was going to close because the place was way too big. You knew the rent was way too high.
Right.
But this place was incredible. And they had this like chocolate truffle strawberry crepe. And they had little pouches that you could walk out. Like you could, it was like, oh, I need my crepe to go. No problem. And I would stick that thing right in my hoodie pocket. And then I put the bag of Chick-fil-A under my hoodie. I looked like I was pregnant, but I got right in. I ended up sharing the waffle fries because they weren't very good, and I'm a gentleman. So I shared the waffle fries with people around me that I didn't know at the theater. But yeah, people were like, holy shit, like this dude's just pulling out crepes from his pocket. And I was like, this is a normal day for me. But yes, I've snuck in wings before. Yeah, you name it. I pretty much snuck pizza. I did pizza this past year from Vetri. If you're in the Philadelphia area, Vetri's great. So yeah, it's just a day in the life. It's nothing major. But it's what gives me a thrill, Dave. You know this. Like,
sure.
There's nothing like walking by the 16-year-old ticket taker that does not give one flying fuck that you have.
You have a ticket taker at yours? You must be going to the bougie places.
Dude, the King of Prussia, like they changed up their ticket taking thing. Okay. They now have somebody at the front.
Oh.
They're like making sure that you're like not just sneaking in.
They're
not playing around.
There's several Regals that I go to where it's like, buy your tickets at concession. It's just like, yeah, I'm good.
I'm not going to do that. Oh, there's one this is only for Philadelphia people, but there's one the Regal Warrington where it was like kiosks all over the place. Buy your tickets at concession. I would just look up like what theater the actual movie I wanted to go see was, and then I just walk in.
Speaking of Yosemite, where you saw Dune, is there a worse place to leave in the middle at the end of the night? It's just like you're just in a dark parking lot now.
Yeah, it definitely gives off some weird vibes, but I have like fond memories of it. Like I have really, really fond memories in the Chamonix, of like leaving late movies of like
not really. That's an AMC. At Regal, guess what? You need to step your game up because, I have to drive up to the Chamonix every now and then to see movies that, for some reason, Regal just doesn't want to show. I had to see Sing Sing.
Okay, didn't see it.
I had to see Memoirs of a Snail. I had to see a whole bunch of movies that you probably wouldn't have seen.
Yeah, probably. And if any women out there are interested in coming with me to a movie where we could go to Cheesecake Factory beforehand, like Mariah was on the chat earlier. I don't know if you're still here, Mariah, but like if you're single, maybe we can go to, because I'm single, you're single, like maybe, I don't know, just an idea. Yeah, I'm desperate. No one can tell. Were there any movies that I missed on my list that you thought needed to be recognized?
I thought The Substance was
Substance.
Yeah, that's a groundbreaking movie. I was happy that
I was going through
Demi Moore won.
Yeah, I saw she won. I got invited to the screening and I'd RSVP'd for it, but like
Margaret Qualley kills it in it as well.
But I feel like that's a movie where I need to be in the right mindset to watch that.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's a movie that's never been made, and it's a story that's never really been told, and it's done well, except for there's a certain point where the train goes off the tracks. But the only other, I'm trying to think, like, I did like Sing Sing. I really like Saturday Night.
I like Saturday Night.
My top one is the one that is on a lot of lists.
Real quick, Saturday Night was the movie where I went to the Regal Warrington, the theater we were just talking about, where like you can pretty much walk in. And man, the 16-year-old ticket taker that was there, because they had the kiosk, and then they will have one guy there that is like trying to do his, like, trying to check you out. This kid was gunning for the managerial spot because he was watching me like a hawk. He was like, I've seen your shit.
That's the milkshake guy.
I'm like, dude, I'm just going to go to the kiosk. And meanwhile, I'm holding my hoodie that has I can't put the hoodie down because it's just got nothing but contraband in it. And he's watching me the entire time, making sure I'm going through the process. I'm like, but this can't be worth the $13 an hour you're getting. But he watched me. I paid for it, and I walked in.
Oh man.
Sorry
Yeah.
to cut you off.
No. My top one is a movie called Hundreds of Beavers. It is a black and white slapstick comedy that was done on green screen, and it is hilarious. I always tell the story of it makes me feel like the critic in Ratatouille, where like as soon as I saw it, it just took me back to little Dave watching like Looney Tunes stuff. Yeah, it's on Tubi for free. It's on Amazon. It's on a couple different places. So
I've heard you rave about it. I do need to watch it. Unfortunately, Mariah is still here, but she hates all movies.
She hates all movies, but she loves you apparently, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, well, I love her, so we're in love together. We're in love. It's very mutual. We're in love together, and we will likely be going to the Cheesecake Factory.
Awesome.
And we'll be looking at that big ass menu. I'll tell you what I do when I go to the Cheesecake Factory, because now at this point, like I don't know how, but we have 6 people watching instead of 4. I will get the dessert first. You know what?
You had told a story on the Scene Invaders podcast,
which you're a part of. Go everybody go check out Scene Invaders podcast. I don't remember telling the story, did I?
Yeah, and I actually did a video of you telling it with to pictures of you just like ranting about having to eat. I think it was an apple
crisp.
Yeah, in your car. And like there was no silverware, and like it was a whole fiasco with. I'm trying to remember what movie you were trying to go to, but yeah, it was a big fiasco.
Yeah, the apple crisp. My go-to thing is I go to Cheesecake Factory. I order the apple crisp first. I eat the apple crisp because I'm a huge apple crisp guy.
Got it.
So I eat the apple crisp. Then I will order dinner.
Mm-hmm.
I'll order like the actual like chicken parm or something. I'll eat a little bit of it, and then I'll get a cheesecake to go. So I'm eating the cheesecake and the like whatever I order for dinner. I'm eating that later.
Okay.
But I'm getting filled up on apple crisp because I don't understand this logic of like we're just eating dinner out here and we're just leaving the best part. And we like, what happens if I'm full? And then I got a whole mess of apple crisp. I'm not taking it home with me.
No.
I want to avoid that. And I think we need to normalize as a society eating dessert first. I don't think we do it enough. This should come as no surprise to people that have been on this chat, that have heard the fact that I have that much money in my freezer right now of just ice cream. I gotta go back soon.
This is your TED Talk.
This has become, well, look, when you're sitting here and you're running on 2 hours at this point. We'll wrap up in 3 minutes. Yeah, might as well just like get it out of the way. If anyone has any final questions, by the way, just throw them out there in the chat. But well, again, real quick, the top 5 worst. If you're just joining, you're late. So make it up to me by buying a mug or something like that. Top 5 worst. Number 5 was Civil War. Number 3, I'm sorry. Yeah, number 5 was Civil War. Number 4 was Madam Web. No, I'm sorry. Number 4 was The Joker. Number 3 was Madam Web. Number 2 was the movie Queer. Number 1 was Nickel Boys. All trash. Skip every one of them. The best, though, these are the ones that you can actually watch because they're good. Number 5 was Deadpool versus Wolverine. Number 4 was Challengers. Number 3 was The Apprentice. Number 2 was Inside Out 2. And then number 1 was Dune Part 2. So those are the best. Those are the worst. Seems like that's it for questions. Everybody's like, no, we don't have any questions.
Yeah,
my question is, why is it still going on?
We're done with you. Maybe we'll watch.
No, I get it. I mean, I said many times I wouldn't watch my stuff. But I appreciate everybody out there who has stuck around and watched this whole thing. Thanks to everybody in the chat who did contribute. I can't talk. Had a stroke. Burnt toast. But yeah, my name's Pat. I'm like the voice behind 90% of the stuff on the channel. That's Dave Hendricks Dave, whatever you want to call him.
Otherwise known as Coach from Scene Invaders.
Yeah, so go check out Scene Invaders. They have a YouTube channel. You can see the link in the description for this video. Their podcast is really good too. You can find that on all podcast platforms. Go check them out. They talk about movies and stuff like Nerds.
Nerds.
Bunch of nerds and virgins talking about movies and stuff for 2 hours. But yeah, and as I said, Dave's a guy that like he looks at movies differently because he actually like listens to Jimmy and I just hear Jimmy, and that's what's great. So Dave, thanks for the time. I appreciate it. Hopefully it wasn't too painful for you.
No, never is. I mean, it's always fun to be to be here, and always fun to talk movies with you.
Are you going to be in your office on Thursday?
I will not. I am going to either see the Brutalist or the Last Showgirl.
Last Showgirl was a Philly Film Festival movie. Didn't see it.
So unfortunately, I work Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and so it's if you want to get ahead of movies and see them when they come out, I unfortunately have to do the Thursday night a couple of times.
So for those, I don't know why I'm saying for those that don't know, everybody has no idea. Nobody has any idea but me and you. When I do the Silo episodes that have been very, very good for my channel, when I do those, I'm only able to do them because of Dave, because I play hockey in Dave's league. I'm a freak athlete. I score a bunch of goals. People swoon. And the rink is about 40 minutes away. Long story short, like I wouldn't be able to put together the video and make the game unless I put together the video at the rink
without my office.
So this past Thursday, because your office wasn't there, I had to go and sit in like the little communal table area between rink like 2 and 3.
So did you end up with ketchup, barbecue, or mustard on
None. What I did end up with was a guy that was looking at me like, what the fuck is this guy's deal? Because I showed up and I had my iced coffee. I put that down. I had headphones on. And I was listening to music. Which maybe that was it, because I was listening to like some hardcore emo stuff. And he was probably like, is this guy okay? Is he gonna like off himself? And no, I was fine. But I sat down, I set up my computer so I could see like out to the hallway area just in case. Like, look, I gotta have my back to the wall because you never know when Albanian terrorists are gonna show up and try to kidnap you. I want to be prepared for that. So I set it up, and the guy looks at me like legitimately, like, what is this person doing here at 9:00 at night in my area? And he was on the computer. I don't know what the hell he was doing. But we were just two guys using the Wi-Fi. So the only reason I'm able to do it is because of Dave. Well, not the only reason, because I could just do it at home and then skip your league, but then your league would fold because I wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, you remove the superstar, and I mean, like,
people are saying
ticket sales go down.
I mean, we can sit here and act like I didn't score a tipping goal. We could act like it.
The bar doesn't fill up anymore. The place goes out of business. I go out of work. It's a whole trickle down thing.
We had a packed crowd of 3 people watching us on Thursday from the bar. Yep, under the big lights.
Oh,
the rink with the bar up top, where you can just sit back and go like, "Holy shit, these guys are bad." Oh, moments like that. I played goal last night, by the way.
Oh, how'd you do?
I gotta show you. I slit my finger open. It wasn't good.
That's not good.
On Baker's mask. I went to go put it on. He had like a jagged piece. I didn't realize it. Ripped it down, and like Baker's complaining, going, "Dude, you're getting blood all over my equipment." And I don't play goalie, by the way.
You're getting at this point, it's just my peanut butter.
At this point, it's just me and Dave talking here, and I'm just hoping to God that you guys are entertained. But I don't play goalie. I'm like a 4. I never play goalie. The team we were playing are so bad that we said, you know what? Let's just have fun and let's have like the little guy play goalie. So they literally had to get me dressed like I was 7 years old. So I go to put the equipment on, and my finger slices open. I got a bluey Band-Aid right now, and I'm bleeding all over the place. Like I'm literally leaving like blood, sweat, and tears out there. And I got the guy complaining I'm getting blood on his equipment. I'm like, it's your equipment that cut me, dude.
It was Make-A-Wish night at the rink.
Yeah, so I gave up 6. Wasn't great.
How many shots?
22.
Yeah, that's not great.
They had one guy who could play. No, it's not good. I'll be the first one to tell you. They had one guy who could really play. Not really play. They had one guy who knew how to play. And when he was coming down, if he got a shot, like he knew where he was putting it. Whereas everybody else they were taking 45 minutes to shoot the puck. And the first 3 that I let in were so slow that the pucks asked like, "Hey, which way to the back of the net?" And I was like, "Oh, it's this way. I'll show you." That was one of those.
It's the old Bugs Bunny 1, 2, 3 strikes.
It was bad, dude. It was bad. Yeah. So I got a game tomorrow night and then a game when your league Thursday. Nobody cares about my slapdick men's hockey career. I just need one scout though. One scout sees me and I'm good to go. I'm
scout, buy a mug, buy a t-shirt. The Recaps logo looks great on a mug.
Yo, it does. I've been told by many people out there that the way to, like, if you're a single guy out there, the amount of times I've heard like, yo, I met my wife because I was wearing a hoodie that said the Recaps. And she was like, oh my God, no way. I love that channel too. Yep. And then that brought them together, that it never would have happened had they not had the Recaps hoodie. Or I know many people, like I know one guy who brought home a girl and they were on a date. They met on Bumble. They were on a date. Date wasn't going well. But she had to go to the bathroom. So she's like, hey, can I use your bathroom in your place? And he's like, yeah, all right, whatever. Like this, fine, blow it up. So she comes out and she sees that he has a Recaps mug.
There you go.
And she's like, wait, you know the recap? Like you watch Recaps?
That's how I get my recaps of Outer Banks.
And he went, yes, I watched like The Recruit season 1. That recap is, I watched that today because season 2 is coming out. I love this dude. He's great. And she's like, you know, I wasn't going to sleep with you before because you were kind of an asshole. But now that I've seen the mug and I know that we're like-minded individuals with YouTubers, I'm kind of into you now. Right. Would you like to have intercourse? And he ended up getting laid from it. And that's a totally true story that I didn't make up at all. And that is just from buying merch. So when you see that I have merch available and you're like, I don't really need it, what's this going to do for me? Like it's a mug, it's a shirt, it's a hat. Apparently a lot, because it could end up getting you the sex. I'm not saying for everybody, results may vary, but it's happened before. And I know for a fact that none of you 8 people are going to question me on it.
Oh, we're at 8 now. Wow.
We're thriving.
Wait a minute. Why is it when we stop talking about movies, all of a sudden people are watching?
This has always happened, right? Like every time we do a live stream, when we hit 2 hours and 5 minutes, that's when we're like Stella. We hit our groove at this point. Just as we're about to end, we hit our groove and we're done. When we start talking about nonsense, you're right. Well, as soon as we start talking about movies, we just start talking about men's league hockey careers and getting laid from mugs. Like all of a sudden, people are like, "Wow, okay, this is interesting." Now we just lost 2. We're done. All right, that's Dave. I'm Pat. Thanks for watching. Thanks for in all seriousness. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. I realize that this is nothing but nonsense. And thank you for subscribing. If you're one of the subscribers, if you're not, hit that subscribe button. Make sure to pound that like sign, the little bell icon. No, just let the ads run. I don't care. Just like subscribe. Don't
slam it.
As long as you let the ads run, that's all I really care about. I beg for that all the time. If you do want to buy a mug, that's cool. It might get you laid. Let me know. I don't really read the comment section unless it's a super comment, because nasty comments do make me feel bad because I'm baby shit soft. But I do appreciate you guys watching all this. Maybe we'll be back to do a recap of like a live chat about some show that everybody likes. I don't know. I probably should have done it for Squid Game, but I was lazy. So yeah. But all right, Dave, thanks, man. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you hopefully not in a year.